one. Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 53. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Aradal. And we have our reoccurring guest coming back once again, JT the Ginger. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet at us. I'm at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean_Beatty. Kev is at Kez Believes First Name Believes Me at 3. And JT is at JT_the Ginger. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Follow our page on the Eli Network. We've got some quick hitters to get through before we get to the Seahawks/NFL preview. College football. Whew. That's all we got to say. The Storm, thanks to Kevin's blessing, are back to their winning ways, 85-75 for the New York Liberty. On Thursday, they have 2 games coming up before our next show.
I was feeling good, so I was like, ladies can have
it. So tomorrow, you'll probably be watching the game as you're watching our show, obviously. Seattle Storm taking on the Washington Mystics, and then they're at Staples Center on Sunday. That is bad timing, ladies, because that's the start of the football season, taking on the Los Angeles Sparks. So please support the Seattle Storm before they finish up the regular season to make their playoff push. And we have a little bit to talk about with the Mariners before we get into our NFL preview. So I'm just going to go over the last week really quickly here. So they lost the Astros 4-3, then rattled off 5 straight wins, beating the Astros 4-0, and then 1-0 before sweeping Arizona in Arizona 6-5-10, 8-5, 10-4 and 11 yesterday. They played earlier today against Houston. It was not pretty. It was 11-2 Houston, so that ends their 5-game losing streak. As it stands right now, I'm going to bring up the standings. The Mariners are, I believe, 1.5 game up on the A's, and they are 3 games back of the wild card, tied with Toronto right now. But Boston currently holds that second wild card spot. Yankees are a 1/2 game up on the Red Sox. So, gentlemen, the Mariners, they're in it. It's September. The Mariners are in it. Sean is back with us on the show. Sean, give us some quick thoughts on the Mariners this past week.
It was rough. I would have liked Jared Kelly played pretty well in Arizona. That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see the kids, but Cal Raleigh looks lost still. Winning those games was nice, but again, I'm trying to play for the future here and look towards the future and look for some good things. But after what happened just today in Arizona or at Houston, I was really pumped for this series, but it was kind of like a gut punch now. Need to take these next 2, that's for sure.
JT, quick thoughts on the Mariners?
I hate to say I'm optimistic, but we'll see how this Houston series go. But then hopefully that will get balanced out by Arizona series after that. And then a showdown with Boston, who's also contending for that second wild card spot. So that'll be big. But then from there on out, it's just 3 games with Kansas City. Just don't let them home run and steal all the bases. And then it's the A's and then the Angels and then the A's and then the Angels to close it out. And that seems like a really fair test the rest of the season to see if we're worthy of sniffing a wild card or fading off into the background. So I'm somewhat optimistically hopeful.
Kevin?
Yeah. There was it's sad to say, there was some closeness to Arizona, and I don't even want to see that because Arizona, in my opinion, is a hot pile of just not good. It's and then like as Sean mentioned, the gut punch today. I think especially after today, we just kind of sealed the whole Kikuchi talk about whether we extend him or not.
That was ugly.
He was just, I mean, it was weird too. I mean, at the same time too, he's had literally back to back like against McCullers. Like, I give him that just a smidge, but yeah, it was not pretty at all. Offense has kind of been nice. The bullpen is really good. Apparently, people are now just starting to see that Seawald is good. When he's just been good all season. yeah, Chris Flexen still being a sexy girl. Like what I've been seeing out of him. And other than that, it's hard. Like the Houston series that right now, and then as JT mentioned, the Boston will kind of definitely paint you a picture pretty much of what the rest of September is going to be. So hopefully they can pull it out of their butts and not give up 11 runs like they did today. And have some better pitching and just figure out what the heck to do with Kikuchi, because right now that's really seems like yes, Marco did struggle like a little bit, but I think he'll be okay. Right now, Kikuchi's just your main sore thumb at the moment. You just kind of have to figure out what you're going to do there. So,
Yeah, Mariners love him. Cal Seager, love him. Chris Flexen, love him. I love this team. I don't think they're gonna make playoffs, but I'm just enjoying this ride while I'm on it. You know, it's like a roller coaster. I know it's gonna end, and I know it's gonna end probably how we all predicted, with them pulling into the station with another year of not making the playoffs, and that is totally fine. Let's enjoy this team while we have it, and hopefully the future is as bright as everyone says it is. So, JP Crawford,
That's what I said.
JP Crawford, I love you. Jared Kelnick, I love you. All right. Noel V. Marte got called up today to high A. So little mini update there. So Mariners, if you get above 500, I will love you just as I always do. Maybe a little more, because you didn't disappoint me and you exceeded my expectations. So thank you once again for that. All right, tell us what you think of Seattle Mariners. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Bears Matt. Sean's at Sean's Bay. Kev's at Kev's believes the first team believes being a 3. JT is at JT underscore the ginger. Gentlemen, the season of the NFL begins this Thursday with the Dallas Cowboys heading to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending champion, Tom Brady's, and the Seahawks open the season on the road in Indianapolis on Sunday at 10 a.m. Set your alarms for at least 9 a.m. just to make sure you get up on time. But first, before we get into some Seahawks true roster stuff, news, all that stuff, we are going to make our official on the record predictions. Hi, Lauren. And let's start with our NFC West finish and record. So I've got mine written down. I'm ready to go. I will start this off. Kevin called it before the show. I love me some Arizona Cardinals. I was pretty close last year. They started off 6-3, then Kyler got hurt, and then it just went like, and I think Kyler stays healthy this entire year. I think AJ Green has a resurgence with Kyler Murray. Him and Hopkins are going to be the Bash brothers from the Mighty Ducks, and that defense is going to be good enough to get them to a record of 12-5 to win the division. Second place is the Seattle Seahawks at 11-6. Third place is the Los Angeles Rams at 10-7. I understand people are very hyped about Matthew Stafford. I don't believe it personally. I think he is a minor upgrade from Jared Goff, and I think that defense is the main catalyst of that team, and they will get them to that record. I also believe we'll get them to the playoffs. We'll get to that in a little bit here. And then I believe the San Francisco 49ers are a good team because they're in the best division of football. It's just unfortunate for them. I'm sorry. You are going to go 9-8. You're going to have a winning record because there's 17 games. That's cool. That's cool. But you're going to be last in the division that's the best in football. So that is my prediction. Who am I going to throw it to? Kevin, you were writing it down for him. Let's hear what you got.
So yeah, mine's going to be a little bit closer, and people are going to be like, because this is the best division in football. I actually have everybody in the club going to the playoffs.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
I thought about it too.
Possible.
We're going to get to the other divisions here in a little bit and why I think that is. So winning the division, I think, is going to be the San Francisco 49ers at 13-4. Everybody, I mean, this team You have a lot of pieces coming back. They're still going to do their clever run game. That's going to be really hard to stop. Good O-line play. And it will just really depend on quarterback. I mean, I think they're going to go with Jimmy just to be safe and let Trey Lance just sit back there and watch. And unless you need him on a deep bomb play, that Trey Lance is going to throw that ball. But it's that defense is scary. I know that they've lost some pieces kind of in the secondary, and that's where the question mark is. But that front seven is good, very good. In second place, and I actually can't even believe I'm saying this, I have the Seahawks at 12-5. This is me going through their schedule and pointing. I literally just counted up what I think were losses. For San Francisco, I think their losses come. Let me bring that up real quick. That way we can. I think they're going to lose to us twice. I think it's a rock, paper, scissors game, to be honest. Just because I think Russell Wilson's going to out quarterback them enough to beat them. Like we've kind of.
Is he going to be allowed to out quarterback them?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, with this new scheme, I think yes. I think though the Rams are going to beat the crap out of us, and we'll get to that. I think 2 of our losses come to the Rams. I don't think we're going to beat the Rams at all. And San Fran beats the Rams. It's a weird triangle of rock, paper, scissors. Like I don't get it. And then Arizona's just kind of like they just try to split with everybody. So I have us at 12-5. And then I have tied for 3rd/4th, depending on tiebreakers, the Rams and the Cards at 11-6. Just because most of our losses are going to come to us in our own division. Really, the only team that stands out that we're going to play would be Green Bay. I had San Fran beating Green Bay. I have the Rams losing to Green Bay because I think Aaron Rodgers, even though like I've mentioned, Aaron Rodgers doesn't like to be punched in the mouth. Their O-line their D-line is a little bit too focused around Aaron Donald, whereas San Fran's is too focused around 7 dudes that can just all kind of get there. So I think San Fran's going to be a tougher challenge of Aaron Rodgers getting punched in the face. And then, so the Rams, I think, will be better than what Matthew thinks. I think they're going to be very sufficient to where they're going to beat a lot of teams. They will probably lose to the Cardinal, or excuse me, to San Fran, because for some reason Shanahan has McVay's number. I don't know why. I don't even think he's beaten him once since he's entered as San Fran's head coach. I'll have to look that up. And then the Cardinals, that secondary is just looking weird. And that O-line too. Like, I love Kyler Murray to death, but we found out Kyler Murray does not like to get hit. So we'll see what happens if he gets hit again. And this division's full, with the exception of us, which is the question mark, is full of heavy hitters that are trying to go after Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray is very fast, but we'll see after the injury shakeup, like how he'll play with that. I still think they're going to be a very good team, though. 11-6 is nothing to scoff at. So I have everybody. I have San Fran winning the division and Seahawks, Rams, and Cardinals being the wild cards.
All right, JT, what do you got?
Oh man. So I also have San Fran top the NFC West. I had them at a 13-4 mark. I'm team big boys, big toys. So first things I look at usually are O-line, D-line, and then just, in terms of just studs, weapons on offense, things like that. But the Rams I have at a 12-5. And I have Seattle at 11-6 mark. I have just some question marks on how they will match up early in the season. We'll figure out what kind of team we have. Early games against Tennessee, Minnesota, and then that San Francisco game. And then I have Arizona at 10-7. I'm really scared of this division, and obviously we're talking about it's the toughest one, but like I feel like if we did this exercise in any other, it would be so much more straightforward almost. And obviously in the NFL, it's hard to predict how injuries will happen and when they will happen. But in terms of just on paper, that's kind of how I'm seeing things laying out at the moment.
Sean, what do you think?
Oh man. Well, I think that the team who's going to win, oh man, going back and forth. I have the Rams at 13-4. I hate 17 games, by the way. I'm just throwing it. It threw off my whole.
Yeah, it needs to be an even number. That's so weird.
I had the 49ers at 12-5 and the Seahawks at 11-6. I have the Cards. I can't decide if they're above or below 500. They're a 500 team, but there's no 500 anymore. So I'll go 9-8, and they will not make the playoffs. I think Kyler Murray will get hurt again, and I say that as someone who drafted him in half of his fantasy leagues. I drafted Kyler Murray, and I assume he will get hurt. I say with the Seahawks, I don't think the Seahawks will finish 11-6. I think they'll finish either better or worse. The issue is I'm hedging the middle, because if Kevin is right, and I hope, and I believe this too, if this offense is done the way it should be with Waldron and this new system and everything like that, and they actually let Russ do his thing, they'll be better than 11-6. If the old guard gets control of this offense, it'll be worse than 11-6. I just split the difference instead of 11-6 because it's the safest way to go, but I think they'll finish third.
Okay, so I've got Seahawks second. Kevin has them second.
Yes.
JT, you had him third. Sean had him third. Okay.
One game with the 49ers.
Okay. So you all have the 49ers. Sounds like you guys are pretty consensus on the 49ers. Let me ask you this. Who is the quarterback for the majority of the time for the 49ers? Sean?
Trey Lance.
Okay.
I
JT?
didn't know that question was coming, so I just guessed. But yeah, my gut will say Trey Lance.
Okay. JT?
Who will play the position of quarterback the most?
Yeah.
Jimmy G.
Okay. Kevin?
Jimmy until he gets hurt, because he will.
Oh.
He will get
Okay.
hurt.
So he do the majority of the season then, and then he'll get hurt.
I think he'll get hurt. I think it'll be kind of almost half.
So if
I
it's
think
not
he'll
quite
get
half, then your answer is Trey Lance then, Kevin.
Yeah.
The
I would
majority.
say, I'm gonna say late October, early November, he'll get hurt. He always does.
So then your answer is Trey Lance. So
Yeah.
I meant to say. Okay.
Yeah.
I will agree with Trey Lance. I think they'll have Jimmy play until he gets 2 losses. I think that occurs around like week 7 or 8, and then they'll put Trey Lance in. He'll struggle, but that defense will carry him. They'll still be last in the division, in my opinion.
I don't think he will, because I think they're just going to run the ball with Trey Lance, and then you do what you do with Russell in his rookie year. You run the ball in that scheme, and then you just make Trey Lance get you a third down pickup, which is not hard to do. But
Yeah, we'll see how they use both of those guys. I'm curious if quarterback goes down, maybe they trade Jimmy G or something. That could be a possibility as well, in my opinion. So we will see how that goes. But let's get to the playoff teams. I have a volunteer to go first. We can go NFC, AFC first.
Sure.
All right, Kevin.
Let's go quick here, Kevin. All
All right, Kevin. Give me your NFC playoff teams.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say who the division winners are, and then my wild cards. You already know my wild cards. So I'll repeat it again. San Fran with the West. NFC East. This was interesting. I actually took the Giants. I I think they're going to be a lot better this year. They added a lot of good pieces on offense. That O-line got better. I think Saquon Barkley, once he comes back, will stay healthy. And then we know what Saquon does when he is healthy. He's a monster. He's very good. I think people have forgotten about it because he has been hurt. And with the kid that they got from Detroit, I think they actually have a really underrated defense too. So I have NFC East Giants taking NFC East. The North will be Green Bay again. And then the South will be Tampa Bay. And then the wild card, of course, will be Seahawks, Rams, and Cards. I don't see any other team. Vikings maybe, but they still want to run the ball. And as we all know, that doesn't win the game. I know Dalvin Cook's a beast, but and then out of the NFC South, I don't really see a team rising. Maybe the Falcons, if they kind of figure it out, because Matt Ryan can get them there. But I still think they have a lot of stuff on defense. And I don't see anybody else from the East ever. We always only have one team out of the East. So, and then AFC, Kansas City. I mean, is going to win. Is going to win the West. The North, I had Cleveland actually. I think they're just the more all-around better, just on both sides of the ball, just rounded team. Especially with Baltimore facing a lot of injuries early on, and Pittsburgh going with old man balls behind center. So then the South, I have Tennessee, and the East, I have Buffalo. And then for wild card, I have the Chargers, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh rounding it out.
All right. Sean, what do you got?
Oh man. So I will go East, and I'll say the Cowboys. That offense is just, it has too much talent for anybody else to keep up. They just don't need to screw it up. And then I have the Rams winning the West. The North, I have the Packers, and then the South, I have the Bucks. The wild cards, the three wild cards are tricky. I will point out for Kevin, the problem with three in the same division is they'll have to play each other. So they're going to beat each other. So that's the problem. They have to lose. And so you could easily make the case. I will say the 49ers make the playoffs as a wild card. And I'll say, gosh, at 11 is the Seahawks make it, but I don't think the Cardinals make it at 9-8. And I think either I think the Saints make it again as the last wild card with Jameis Winston. I think the Saints. And then in the East, I go Buffalo. West, Chiefs. North, I go Ravens, but Kevin did bring up a good point. The Browns are like really sexy, and I want to pick them, but. And then in the South, I go Titans. The wild card is that the last one is super tricky too, but I'll go the Browns as the first wild card. No one in the South. And then the Chargers, again, if they could just stay healthy, the Chargers, obviously. And it's the Patriots are making a run at this thing. Mac Jones, as bad as it sounds, showed very good decisions in the preseason. I know it's not preseason; it's just the decision-making process. Like he made.
I had them kind of there too. So. Yeah,
again, it's not looking at results for preseason. It's just the process he was making was very good and very ahead of a lot of it. It was way ahead of Trey Lance. Let's be very real here. Like Trey Lance looked terrible. Mac Jones looked amazing. So they might be it, but man, I still say Pittsburgh sneaks that last one in there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my three.
All right. JT, go ahead.
NFC. I have Tampa Bay grabbing that bye, right? We only have one team that gets the bye anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've got San Francisco, Green Bay, and I picked Dallas as the division winners. And with wild cards, this was the tougher one, the NFC wild cards for me, but I went with the Rams, the Seahawks, and then I narrowed it down to the Washington football team, New Orleans, or Minnesota. And defense wins championships. So I'm just gonna say, hey, the Washington football team. I'm a big fan of Ryan Fitzpatrick and his swag. But moving the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs with the bye, and then I'm going with Cleveland, Buffalo, and Tennessee atop their divisions, and then wild card. I felt like it was fairly straightforward. Baltimore, Chargers, and I did end up going with New England as that last wild card spot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the more you talk about it, JT, the more I hate my pick. But yeah, I'll stick with it. I already locked it in.
So NFC, I ranked them 1 to 7. I think the Packers get the bye. I think the Cardinals get the 2. I think Tampa Bay will get the 3. And I like Washington in the NFC East. I think this is arguably the best team Ryan Fitzpatrick has ever had around him. I think this is his farewell tour, and I think he makes the playoffs and probably retires after that. 5 would be Seattle. 6 would be the Rams. And I also agree with Sean. I think New Orleans will get that 7th wild card. I think Jameis Winston full year. I think he's going to do well, and that defense is very good still. So I think they'll sneak in with the 7. I did have Minnesota there, and I deleted it right before the show. So I think New Orleans will probably get there. AFC, I have 1 being Buffalo. I have 2 being Kansas City. I have 3 being Cleveland from the north. And then 4, I like Indianapolis this year. I think Carson Wentz. I do have Buffalo as the one, yeah.
Okay.
I think that Indianapolis has a very good team, and I think Carson Wentz has gotten away from the poison situation that was Philadelphia for him, and I think he will find himself and play well, just like Phillip Rivers last year, and get that team to the division win. I think Tennessee will get the 1st wild card. I think Baltimore will get the 2nd, and then with the 7th one, I think Miami will sneak in there this year, and I think Tua is going to play that team to the playoffs along with that defense that has been building for quite a while. So I think Miami will take that 7th spot. I'll just go ahead and jump into my championship games.
Well, hold on. How do you
What?
feel, Matthew, saying the Cardinals are going to be the 2 seed and none of us have them even making the playoffs?
That's
You're
okay.
just-
I
right
will
there?
enjoy
Right there?
being right
Okay.
in January.
I technically had them making it
Oh, that's
be a
true.
wild card. Yes.
That's true. That's true.
I will revel in January. I'm patiently waiting for that. So in the AFC Championship, I have the Bills beating the Chiefs. In the NFC, I have the Packers beating the Cardinals. And then in the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers with that beautiful mane that he has, I hope he keeps it the entire year. He will win the title and prove to Green Bay that you made a mistake. And now I'm going to go right off into the sunset and take Tom Brady's old job, because he'll probably retire after this year if he doesn't make the Super Bowl. So that is what I think will happen in the conference championships and the Super Bowl. Sean, what do you got?
I don't even want to say it. It's going to hurt me. I have Kansas City and Rams.
Where's your AFC Championship?
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh gosh, I gotta go back. I have Chiefs and Browns. Yeah.
That's not out of. That's
I
not
have Chiefs and
crazy.
Browns. I say the team upsets the Ravens because they were the ones that won the division. My wild card team is the Browns, if you remember, and I think the Browns actually have a lot of talent. They're like my right there team, so I think they'll actually go because they're just so talented. And then I have the Rams and 49ers playing. I don't know how it works with the 7 teams and all that stuff, but yeah, the Rams and the 49ers, depending on how the bracket falls and everything like that, they'll go, and the Rams are just they're good and have a competent quarterback now. And then the Kansas City wins.
All right. JT, what do you got?
Should have started off telling Sean that this is a safe place, circle of trust. You can say
I didn't want to say Rams.
So when I was picking, I ended up coming up with a theme. It's the old Stags versus the young Bucks, And so in my conference championships, I've got Tampa Bay versus Green Bay, and then I've got Buffalo versus Cleveland. And my Super Bowl matchup, I went Tampa Bay, Cleveland, and I ended up just going with Cleveland for funsies because I'm kind of just tired of Tampa Bay / Tom Brady. So, yeah, went with Cleveland. I just feel like they're super well rounded, and they have depth, and that defense is looking good. And why not?
Cleveland
it's
wins.
Cleveland.
That city will burn to the ground in celebration.
Why not, JT? Because it's Cleveland.
Go orange helmet, people.
There you go.
All right, Kevin, what you got?
All right. In the NFC Championship, I have that sucks. God, I hate it. I have San Francisco and Green Bay. And as I mentioned, San Francisco is going to win it because Aaron Rodgers doesn't like being punched in the mouth, and he will. And then here's the why. This is where I think it's going to be a little bit different. I have Kansas City facing the Chargers in the AFC. I think the Chargers are actually going to be a lot. I think this might be the year that the Chargers actually stay healthy. I think Herbert and that defense are going to run wild on some.
I was going to say, Kevin, it's not talent; it's just staying healthy.
Yeah, I know. I think they're just due. Like as much juju as whoever's been throwing on them over the past years, like it just they found like their lucky charms or whatever, and they stay healthy. Just Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Eckler just go ham on people, but only don't win the division because it's Patrick Mahomes. And then and like I said, it's Patrick Mahomes. So I have Patrick Mahomes beating Kansas City, beating the Chargers and having a Super Bowl rematch of 2 years ago. And it will go like it did 2 years ago, and Kansas City will win again. Because unless Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, it will depend on that O-line too. But they've refreshed that O-line. They've gotten depth on that O-line. I think they learned from the Tampa Bay woes. And also that secondary, if they play San Fran, the secondary isn't what Tampa Bay has. So even though the front seven will be good, I think with Mahomes running around for his life and doing the things that he did like in Tampa Bay, I think he's still going to score points and will win.
I think the two teams that will fall the hardest are the Packers and Buffalo this year. I would not be surprised if either lose their division.
I just don't see anybody in the North rivaling it.
That's the only problem. I think Aaron Rodgers has a huge regression year because he's been terrible the 3 years before this. But it's going to be, can just anybody else not suck enough to win the division?
Like, and if Bears defense is decent, but
if Zimmer just lets Kirk Cousins throw the ball to his two monster receivers, they'll win the division. He just will not let them do that.
He won't do it. Yeah,
he will not do it. He is not.
Kirk Cousins also sucks, but
he does not suck.
He does not suck.
No,
he sucks in prime time, but that's it.
No, that also is not true. But he has Matthew. He has Diggs. He has all these guys that are good, and you're like, how does this guy throw for all these yards but still suck?
He's not good.
Okay, he doesn't.
And why did you not predict him as a playoff team?
Numbers are worse
because Zimmer's a shit coach. That's why he holds his team back.
That is.
We should be very used to that.
Sure.
I will say. Yeah. Sorry. I was gonna say he's mediocre in prime time. He doesn't suck in prime time.
All right. Well, let us know what your NFL predictions are, how the NFC West will shake out, your playoff predictions, how you think the conference championships and the Super Bowl will go. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at _Matt. Sean is at Sean_Betty. Kev's at Kev's Believe. The first thing believes being a 3. JT is at JT_the Ginger. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Subscribe to us. Follow our page on the Eli Network. Let's get into some Seahawks specific news and where to start. So let's first talk about the news of the day. Dwayne Brown was back on the practice field, and I don't know if you guys want to start a round of applause, but I'm just gonna go ahead and clap. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Love seeing Dwayne Brown back out there. Quandre Diggs also ended his hold in, so everybody is out there practicing. So that is very nice. Also news today, no surprise here. Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner are the captains, and then Nick Bellore. Sean's hated Nick Bellore as the special teams captain.
I don't hate
So
Nick Moore. He just plays a useless position. That's all. Like,
he's the captain, so show some respect.
no, he's like the third captain, barely. He's like
He's a special teams captain.
he's
Yeah.
like the tallest short person. That's what he is. Like, someone has to be the tallest in this room of short people. Like,
that is fair. That is fair. Other news. It is with deep sadness that I have to say that KJ Wright is now in a Las Vegas Raiders uniform. As someone who has personally met KJ Wright when he came to Centralia for a football camp, I know he's a good guy, and I know he's a good linebacker. Was a good partner to Bobby Wagner for the last 10 years. So good luck, KJ. I sincerely mean that, but also good luck because you're going to be in Vegas. So that will be tough, I think. That defense should be improved with you on it. So I definitely wish you the best of luck, and hopefully Derek Carr will lead you to the promised land, although none of us predicted it. Anybody have any thoughts on KJ Wright? Sean?
it sucks. We have the space to afford him now, which kind of sucks because it sounds like he really wanted to stay. I would have really liked him to stay. Kind of sucks. So if we had extended Brown, which we probably should have done, it would have freed up even more money this year, and we definitely could have signed him with some flexibility. So I think we should have extended Dwayne Brown for a couple more years, 3 more years, maybe 2 more years, and then we had room to sign KJ. That's what we should have done, but it's fine. I get it.
JT, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's bittersweet. Awesome tenure with the Seahawks, and yeah, best of luck. Kind of what you said, same sentiments. But now we got to squash you. You're the opponent. But in the off season, we'll play a round of golf.
Absolutely. Kevin, any thoughts?
It's something that technically did need to happen. Sure, I would like him back, but at the same time too, I'm kind of proud of Pete because now he's doing what we have said on this podcast before and let his young boys play. And Barton and Brooks are going to get to play. So I mean, you spent a first and a second round pick on them. They should be playing. Not to take anything away because KJ is better than them. Don't get me wrong. He's a top linebacker in this league. He's going to make that defense better for them. I still think they have. Raiders draft's been very weird. They've had a lot of weird stuff. So
well, like you said, Kevin, Cody and Brooks can't get better if they're not playing. The only way they're going to get better.
Exactly. They need this time to get the reps, and you're gonna have Bobby in the middle, showing them the way. So that's what's going to help. It doesn't help that your depth is very, 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 very just non-existent because all you have is Nick Bellore. That's it at this moment, other than the practice squad guy that Sean. We brought him back, so the practice squad, but
isn't technically what's his name?
Yeah.
Daryl Taylor, a linebacker.
Daryl Taylor is a linebacker too.
Technically,
but,
yeah.
So
but if he's taking like 30 snaps at linebacker a game for you, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah, that's bad. I'd rather see him on the edge.
Yeah.
So he will always be part of the legendary Seahawks team that I would remember. Like even like when I'm 15, 16, and I look back on this team, I will think KJ as one of the main key pieces. He will probably be in the Ring of Honor, if anything. And depending on what he does in Vegas, possibly could be up for Hall of Fame. We'll see, but it'd be real. I'd have to go and look at the stats. He's very good, but like not like guaranteed like what Bobby's kind of doing right now, but yeah. So best
Guaranteed
of
reading
luck to
vomit
him.
for sure.
Yeah, best of luck to him. He's with Gus Bradley again, isn't he? Because Gus Bradley's the DC.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's going into a system he's familiar with. So I see the move makes sense. And you're bringing in a veteran linebacker to teach that young defense to get better. So
All right. Well, let's move on to the roster cuts that we were talking about last week, as well as the current cornerback situation. So I am going to share my screen here with the current roster. This is the depth chart according to ESPN. So it might not be the most accurate thing, but it's probably fairly close at this point. So this is the Seahawks roster as of right now, and I specifically wanted to discuss the cornerback position because while I was sitting in Belfair waiting for North Mason practice, we got into a lively discussion about John Reed and the cornerback situation that the Seahawks are currently facing. So as you could see here currently, it is DJ Reed, Trey Brown, who is currently hurt, Bless Austin, Trey Flowers, who I believe is also hurt. Maybe? No? And then
I don't think he is.
no? Okay. And then Sidney Jones, who they traded for, as we were basically talking on the podcast last time. So as you can see, this is kind of what the Seahawks team will look like. You got Collier, Ford, they got Al Woods there at D tackle, Dunlap, then you got Brooks, Wagner, Barton. That's probably just going to be consistent the whole way. DJ Reed, Trey Flowers on the outside, Jamal Adams, Diggs, the safeties. Then at offensive line, you've got Shell, Gabe Jackson, Pochich, Damian Lewis, and Dwayne Brown. You've got Gerald Everett there starting at tight end. Freddie Swain, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. I believe that's probably going to be D. Eskridge, would be my guess. But I'm sure they'll probably both see time on the field. Chris Carson, of course. Russell Wilson, of course. So I'm just going to throw it out there. What did you guys think? I do want to go ahead and mention, Kevin, I agree with you. I was very surprised they kept 3 quarterbacks. And then I was also very surprised they cut Mannion and signed Lutton, who is I think a Marysville Pilchuck former quarterback. So he comes back to the place where he went to high school. Not that matters a whole lot because you're probably not going to see the field, but that is kind of cool to play for your hometown team. You know, dreams do come true, kids, sometimes. So with that being said, what do you guys think of some of the roster moves? JT, I'm gonna throw it to you first.
Ultimately, I really hope it's the sum of all the parts. Just in terms of the last couple of years, the Seahawks team, I think we know what we have on offense. The offensive line will be interesting to see how they come together, but the real focus has been the defense, and my question mark is Barton and Brooks, and whether or not that defensive line can create enough pressure to get sacks and to create havoc, because last year, just from memory, it was lacking. So in terms of who's on the back end with DJ Reed now and Trey Flowers, let's just do it. I'm ready for real football. But I'll just be waiting for Myers or Dixon to come out on the field. That's my little slice of heaven. But pro using the foot on the football, kickers and punters.
The people too.
But yeah, so I really hope all these different moves at cornerback. Man, it's hard to keep track there for a minute, but I'm trying to keep positive, and I just think of Barton as just undersized. So I'm sorry, I'm big boys, big toys, and I just keep looking at that little Cody Barton name. Even his name is tiny. It's only just a couple syllables. So maybe he needs a nickname or like a hyphenated.
He's 6'2", 240.
I should invite him over for dinner.
That's a decent sized linebacker. That's not. He's bigger than Jordan Brooks.
6'2", 237. Thank you, Sean.
I know we're rounding because that's what we do here.
Oh, okay. Well, don't round to 6'4". I mean, come on.
I didn't say 6'4".
He's actually bigger than both Bobby and Brooks.
Yeah, he's bigger than Darius Leonard. I had that Colts lineup too. I was gonna say the one you're thinking is small is Ben Burke-Irvin, JT. He's a tiny one.
BBK is tiny.
Actually, he's the same height as Jordan Brooks, but only 10 pounds lighter. So actually, they're like the same size. Okay, whatever. They're all linebackers the same.
I also do want to put on the all-name team Nigel Warrior that we claimed from the Baltimore Ravens.
The whole team. They have a Bless and a Warrior they just signed.
Yeah.
Fun.
So that's, their name game has been stepped up by these two joining the roster. Sean, what do you think of this roster?
I think a lot of the cuts they made, I've been critical of them in the past. They made a lot of really good cuts when it happened. They kept their best offensive lineman. Jake Curran, he played the best. He deserves him in the spot. He made the roster, even though he's an undrafted guy. So that was good. The competition's a thing again. They kept Nick Vlor, which, I mean, it's fine. Like, you knew it was going to happen. I wouldn't do it, but it's happened.
He's a captain. Respect him.
He's a special teams captain. Settle down. I would have liked probably one more receiver, with the special teams and all that stuff, but I guess they're going to have the fourth running back kind of do a lot of that, I guess. So, because they technically only have 4 right now. No Arsu or anything like that. So, and with Lockett being hurt, only 4 receivers kind of seems a little light on it. But
I believe they have like 5 on the practice squad or something.
Yeah,
like
but that's what I'm saying. You're asking active roster, so I'm just saying.
I know.
Like,
I'm just saying.
They have 4, so it seems a little.
I know. Please shed a tear for your favorite
Ursua.
Yes.
The defense, it's fine on the front. I mean, you're buying into the hype. You're letting the kids play. That's fine. I like that. I liked what I saw from them. The issue is and it perfectly sums it up why I've had issues with this organization, how they run in the past, is the cornerback room. And it's showed again. They made a lot of good cuts. They kept Trey Flowers because he played the best, so he earned a job here. That's fantastic. But then, it's just the mismanagement of resources. They sign Witherspoon, their biggest off-field signing. They spend a third of their draft on Trey Brown and cornerback, and neither of them are going to start for this team. Resources are really valuable, and they just kind of burned them all and didn't do anything with them, and then just signed a bunch of guys last minute. They're like, we're going to fix it. And I'm like, that shows that you, I don't want to say the word effed up, but you effed up a lot. Like a ton, and you're admitting it right now. You effed this up real bad. And you're going to run in there with an undrafted guy who's had 6 good games in his career, which, don't get me wrong, I'm big on Reed. He deserves a starting spot. But let's be very clear. Dunbar had more career good games than Reed does. And we saw what Dunbar was last year. So you're bringing a lot of guys on a guy who played 6 good games. And Trey Flowers, who has sucked until this preseason. Those are your 2 starting corners. I'm just saying, and then your backup is a guy you signed a week ago, and your next backup is a guy you signed 2 days ago. And then you're having 2 safeties play nickel corner. So, I'm hoping it works out like JT. I'm very hopeful that's that DB room, and you're coming off 2 safeties who did not play well last year. You're hoping that secondary just doesn't completely explode. I'm hoping it doesn't, but, it has been bumbled 9 ways from Sunday. And I hope it comes together last minute, but that DB room makes me very, very nervous.
I would also like to put Bumbled 9 ways from Sunday above the door behind you as your quote for the season. Kevin, what do you think of this roster?
There were some shocks. I don't know why the hell we have 3 quarterbacks. Once Russell goes down, it's over. Why carry a third? Unless, if Russell goes down, then you can bring in a third, but, just to have a backup for if the backup goes out,
Kevin, we need a
second?
Taysom Hill, okay? That's what Jake Luton is here for, all right?
Yeah, Kevin's right. Get rid of Jake Luton. You don't need that.
it was weird. They were super high on Fuller, and then they're like, okay, Pochic's is starting again, and it's what? Most of all at camp, they were saying that Fuller was going to be the starting center, which made people wonder what the heck happened with Pochick, and then they're like, oh no, we're just joking. Pochick center.
This will lead into it. How do you feel with this team never basically playing together this entire preseason? Pochick, Brown didn't practice. Like,
I
they
mean,
didn't play together.
we
The
can get into that in the preview, but yeah, go ahead. Actually, yeah. Go ahead.
the starting O-line is technically minus Gabe Jackson. With Shell, the Pochick, Lewis, and Brown. You're only having one new piece. You are moving Lewis over to left guard. That is something that's going to be
Yeah, but
different.
they haven't played together all preseason.
Yeah,
Like, they have,
it's
they have two new
something
guards
that's
that are,
going to be
like,
rough. But sorry, my fan fell over. Something to mention, and we're going to get into this in the preview. Luckily our first game is a preseason game, so I think we'll kind of get things together on that. Give me 1 second.
Not
I thought he was
according to
I thought he
Matt.
was slamming the table. Yeah.
Sorry,
No.
Called
demons.
Indy a preseason team, Matt. How are you going to take that?
The other things that kind of threw me off were Sean kind of pretty much went over everything on the defensive route, so I'm not going to do that. Special teams. DJ Dallas not returning anything like after what he did in the preseason. Like I get DJ Reed. DJ Reed kind of proved himself last year, but
he's
like
a starting corner. You're having him now return kicks. Like, that's starters don't return kicks
Yeah.
for a reason.
and
I
that's
would
what
also
I
like
was
to say
kinda
this is
thinking, too.
ESPN projection.
Yeah,
Probably not necessarily entirely
that's true.
accurate.
That's true.
So I'd rather, because I think DJ Dallas kind of proved that he can do what Reed did last year I know it was preseason, but like, why not give him a start to try that to keep your corners healthy, especially since, as Sean mentioned, you don't know what the hell you're doing in the secondary, at least at corner position. So I think DJ Dallas would have been the safer play there, especially like Freddie Swain. I don't doubt could return. I believe he returned for Florida, but like you saw what you had in the preseason, like DJ Dallas, who's apparently your fifth too, like over Homer, who didn't have an even snap in preseason. But at the same time, it doesn't shock me because we've already, as we mentioned, Pete's talent evaluation is really, really horrible. So I'm not shocked at the same time either. Other than that, I think everything else kind of looks okay. Everything going over pretty much looked like how I was going to predict. So I think you could have cut Letton to bring in some extra like linebacker help, especially with only having 3, technically 4 with, the Darryl Taylor, but having a 5th there would have probably, or like a 5th receiver. You wouldn't have had to cut Penny Hart. You could have kept him on the roster or go get somebody that was cut from another place. Especially with Ursua, like your backup to Lockett, who's questionable, is Ursua on your depth chart, even though of course that will be changed. But like, probably you want to have another receiver in there. But who knows? Maybe they'll put.
Can I say Everett? I think is probably going to be very featured as a receiver on this team.
Oh yeah, but and that could be a thing too, or even like a back. You could put Travis Homer or Penny out there, to take stuff like that.
It makes me think that they're not going to run quite the Rams offense because they use 3 receivers a lot, and you don't carry 4 receivers if you're going to use 3 receivers a lot.
They also use Gerald Everett a lot.
Well, yeah, but like they use the 3rd receiver more than they use the tight end. So I'm just saying, like, they use a ton of 11 personnel, and I don't think they're going to use that as much in Seattle if they're only carrying 4 guys.
Fair.
Maybe
right.
Ballor splits out wide.
Yeah. He does it all. He does it all.
Hey, I hope he's a Pro Bowler for offense. Let's do that.
All right. Well, we have about 5 to 10 minutes left, so let's talk about some real football that will be happening this Sunday. The Seattle Seahawks will be traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. 10 a.m. It's on Fox, so get your Fox Sports app ready. At least for me, I don't know if you guys have cable or whatnot, but I will be watching it through the Fox Sports app. It is going to be an interesting game. I'm just going to give my thoughts real quick. Kevin says this is our preseason game. I don't like that at all because this game counts. So that's I don't like that. But I am a little nervous because Sean said they didn't play together at all during the preseason. I think the first half will probably be a little rough, honestly, to just try and get timing down and everything because Russell's gonna have that red jersey on anymore, and Darius Leonard's gonna be coming after you pretty good, I think. So that Colts defense, I think is very good still. They were very good last year. The biggest question mark is obviously Carson Wentz. I predict them to go to the playoffs. I don't think he's going to be great in this game. I think he'll figure it out as the season goes on,
Does he
especially because
play?
huh?
Does he play?
I think he plays. Quentin Nelson though is not playing, so that helps the Seahawks quite a bit. I think this game is probably going to be pretty close. Not because these two teams are necessarily equals. I think the Seahawks are a better football team. I just think that the Colts defense is going to give the offense of the Seahawks a lot of trouble. I know last year they came out and just torched the Falcons, but that was the Falcons. So I think the Colts are going to put up a much closer contest, and I think that Carson will connect with Michael Pittman Jr. a couple times. I think Jonathan Taylor has a decent day on the ground. But on the opposite side of the ball, I think Russell will get it going in the second half like he usually does. I think Carson has a pretty nice day. I have DK Metcalf, Russell Wilson stack in my main fantasy football league, so I hope that they connect at least once for at least a deep ball, maybe a touchdown. That'd be great. Overall, I'm going to give my prediction here. I think it will be 28-27 Seahawks. I think it'll be a close game, and I think the Seahawks will just hang on. Sean, what do you think?
It's not a preseason game. Remember, Carson Wentz was terrible last year and lost by 1 score to Seattle. So and with a worse team around him. So with that said, Carson Wentz is still garbage, but Matthew, that's what a shit quarterback looks like. If Quentin Nelson doesn't play, that is a big deal because that is the best probably guard, if not top 3 linemen in football. They do have Ryan Kelly back this year, which sucks, but they did get that Eric Fisher guy, so he's pretty good. Yeah, they also T.Y. Hilton's out, so they are definitely hampered on the offense. But like I said, that's the one side. The Seahawks don't. I have more questions on the defense than the offense. So if they're gonna be dominant anywhere, being on offense is probably not the place I want it to be. Their defense is very good. They did rank very good last year. Year in and year out, it changes, especially with defense. So I don't know how it's going to transition this year because they do play in a weak division that helps that. But they do. I mean, they have players. So like you said, Darius Leonard is legit top 3 linebacker in football. DeForest Buckner is not a nobody. They got some guys that'll come after him. And it is that this line with 2 new guards playing 2 new positions. I mean, 1 new guard, but what I mean, like 2 guards playing new positions, and not playing any game snaps together in that formation does make me a little nervous. And I did look it up. The Rams have 6 wide receivers they're holding. So yes, they like to hold those 6 receivers. So unfortunately for me and Kevin's predictions, I'm not sure this bodes well for the Seahawks airing it out with Russell Wilson and instead running it a bunch. But if they air it out and let Russ cook, Seahawks are more talented than the Colts, and they should win. With that said, they will not. They will keep it close because that's how they do it, and they're stupid. I hate them, but I love them at the same time. And they will win 23-17.
JT.
I'm just admiring the names on the Colts defense. It's pretty epic. May I highlight a few?
Yes.
Thank you. Already talked about DeForest Buckner. That's just toe in the water. But we got Al-Qaeden Muhammad and Bo Pete Keys, Rock Yassin.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'm pronouncing all these correctly. Like these are pretty sweet
Rock
names.
was like a high draft pick.
I
Yeah.
like Quiddy Pay. That's pretty good too.
Dude, you forgot a guy named Grover who's not like 70. Like
Grover Stewart. Yeah.
yeah, he's Grover.
That's true.
JT,
Rigoberto,
speaking of
special teams.
your
EJ
big toy,
Speed. Oh
he's-
man.
Grover's 6'4", 320, JT. Like big boys, big toys in the trenches there.
Kamoko Ture. I think this is a matchup that I hope I am foreseeing just how do I phrase this, like a good one to start off with, because I think it's going to take a few drives to gel on offense. And as far as defense go, or cornerbacks, they're just meeting each other for the first time. So hopefully they've got all their handshakes and everything, all the celebrations down. But my prediction would be Seahawks with the win, 26-24.
All right, Kevin, what you got?
So the reason why I only say it's a preseason game because one, we don't know if Carson Wentz is going to play. He's still optimistic. If Carson Wentz doesn't play, it's a preseason game because you have the few dub quarterback there who's never taken an NFL snap really. So the offense just goes downhill from there. Carson Wentz does play. He's not going to be 100%. That foot is still nowhere near fully 100% healed. So it will affect him, in ways. And he's also coming back into an offense that even though he's familiar with Frank Wright, it's still different than what he was running at in Philadelphia. Yes, this defense for the Colts is something that does need to be respected. I would say if this was like week 6 plus, I would be a little bit more concerned. Just because there'd be tape on it. But you're having a brand new offensive system with Russell Wilson working it with 2 top end receivers with Tyler and DK and Everett coming in with it. I don't think everybody's kind of like very high on Everett. I am as well, but at the same time too, we were very also high on our tight ends last year and look what we did with him. Yes, it is a new offensive scheme. I think Everett will be into it more, but I think people are thinking like Everett's going to have like bunch of 100-yard games, and that's just not it. No, it's not going to happen. So I think it's going to be a good contest, but the Colts defense is not going to have really any film on what they're wanting to do. They saw nothing all preseason, which was smart of the Seahawks, and they're going to come out with a whole new system with one of the greatest quarterbacks running that system. I don't care how good Indianapolis are.
But he's like you said with the other team, he's never run that system.
Yeah, but he also never cooked before, and we saw what happened. Yes, it was Atlanta, but at the same time too, like Russell Wilson doesn't really need to be babied into a new system. Russell Wilson,
if he's allowed.
No, that's a whole different thing. That will be. I think it won't be the running game to start with. I think Pete will do like what he does last year. He'll let Caldwell or whatever his name is run that until it goes horribly wrong, and then do his little regression shit. I think is what's going to happen. So I think Caldwell will have full thing of this offense to where I think Indianapolis is not going to know what to do because you have really good receivers out there doing crazy things with Russell at quarterback. I think O-line play will be okay. There will be some hiccups. Russell will get sacked probably 3 times. But in the end, I trust Russell to pull it out more than a hurt Carson Wentz or the backup. If the backup's in there, it's going to be a slaughter fest. Just because you're going to have more possessions with the Seahawks on offense. So I'm going to say that this is actually, it's not going to be what Atlanta was, but I think it's going to have a bigger differential. I would say it'll be 27-14 Seahawks.
All right. I just want to make a quick request. I am playing Joey this week, who has Lockett and Everett. So Russ, if you could avoid those 2 players, that would be great. Just feed DK, maybe Carson. That's cool. I'm cool with that. Maybe
I'm
Disley.
Carson. Just hand it off to Carson
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
Lord,
So,
go deep.
yeah, Valor, go deep. Absolutely.
Wheel routes all day.
All right. Well, let us know what your Seahawks Colts predictions are. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Benny Matt Sean's at Sean's Bailey. Kevin's at Kev's Believe the First Thing Believes Me 3. JT is at JT_the Ginger. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Follow our page on the Eli Network. Before we get out of here, JT, what is your hat?
Oh, it's local Tri-City Dust Devils, Stars
Whoa.
and Stripes edition. Let's see, we're going this way. Boom.
Oh, wow. That actually, like, that's impressive from them. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So, I mean, if you want to come check out minor league baseball in the Tri-Cities for the first time ever in the month of September, come see your boy. I'll be on the field as the MC host. And we're playing some games, and I'm there all week starting tomorrow.
All right. So go check out Dust Devils as well as JT. Also, I'm not great at recognizing birthdays, but Sean, happy early birthday on the show. I didn't get you a cake or anything, but you know, you're old, so it doesn't matter anymore.
I got him a middle finger.
Oh.
Oh, come at me, bro.
So with that, let's enjoy some live football this Thursday, this Sunday, this Monday, and we will be back on Monday with some film as well on Washington East West Sports. JT, thank you as always for joining us.
Okay.
Go Hawks.